breaking news in the NBA. The Boston Celtics have traded the number 1 overall pick to the Philadelphia 76ers for multiple picks in return. The number 3 pick in the same draft, and also Philly's pick from next year, which is very protected, and a very protected in a possible pick from the Kings in 2019. We'll get into all of this in just a little bit, but welcome in everybody. Of course, you know us, Josh McCauley. I'm Mike Niddle. This is crazy. This is one of the craziest things I've seen in a long time. The number 1 pick getting traded when it wasn't really expected to get traded at all. And so the Philadelphia 76ers trading up to the number 1 pick. They will be taking, it has already been announced, they will be taking Markelle Fultz with the number 1 pick. And the Boston Celtics trade out of the number 1 spot, do not take Markelle Fultz. Josh.
Yes, me.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't think Ainge got nearly as much as I thought he was going to. And I thought that when it was originally reported by Woj that it was both the Lakers pick and the Kings pick, I didn't think that they necessarily got as much as I thought they were going to. Like you said, this really came out of nowhere. Reports have kind of leaked out in the last couple of days that they really like Josh Jackson. They haven't gotten a chance to work him out yet. So far, he hasn't come in for a workout, so we'll see what happens there. But some cracks were starting to show in what had kind of been a foregone conclusion for a couple months that Markelle Fultz was going number 1 to Boston. Certainly, Brendan Fitzpatrick is crying right now, essentially, that it's not happening. I like the move if Fultz wasn't the guy the Celtics wanted. It's clear that they're stockpiling assets. I wouldn't be surprised if they get Jimmy Butler or Paul George by the end of next weekend. It's clear they're going forward. It's clear this, I think, makes it clear that IT is their guy going forward, and the decision will have to be made what to do with Avery Bradley or what to do with Marcus Smart when the time comes. We'll see what they do. Do they stay at 3? Do they take a Josh Jackson type guy if he gets passed on by the Lakers? Do they move this pick? Do they trade back? I know you and I were talking before when I was on the way home in the car, maybe moving even further back and going after a big guy like Arizona's Lauri Markkanen. And this is a very fluid situation. I don't think they're done yet, but overall I thought the return was a little disappointing. But if Fultz isn't their guy, you can't really blame them for getting assets and moving back to a position that they're at least comfortable that they have a chance to go after a guy that they want.
I want to point something out to you. We are going to start using this screen share little application we have on these Google Hangouts. And
don't send Snapchats of me. Rude.
And this tweet just came up, and it's gold. Absolute gold. Josh Jackson, verified, blue check mark. LOL, anybody with the smallest bit of talent can look good and loose. It's not that hard.
Whoa.
Oh.
Whoa.
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 So that is something that we is a lot to get into. So let's start with this. So Markelle Fultz is going number 1, right?
Yes. We knew that. It's just a new team now.
Right. He's going to Philly. The Lakers were thinking they're going to take Lonzo Ball, but there's a little bit of a gray area now between that. And we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll re-pick the top 5 or the top 10, whichever we need to, from our NBA draft from earlier to update with these trades since they're so big and so important.
Yeah. I'm also going to have a couple words for some of our commenters. I can't believe I'm stooping to this level, but a couple things that I just want to clarify because some people don't use their thinking caps when they're watching these things, but we'll get to that.
We have commenters?
Oh, we've got some commenters. You know what? Let's just jump into it right now quickly.
Wait. Tell me.
Why?
How do we have commenters?
What do you mean, how do we have commenters? This is on YouTube.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I don't see the comments. I can't see them.
Oh, well, it's on my channel. So.
Wait. No, let's wait for it for a second.
I'm out. We'll wait. Okay, we'll wait.
Commentators can wait. While I also look up,
we'll get to that.
So the number 2 pick probably going to be Lonzo Ball, but we'll get into that. Now the number 3 pick, I just showed you the Josh Jackson little clip, but he hasn't worked out for the Celtics yet, and he's refused to as of late. So what is he going to do? Who are the Celtics going to take down at number 3 is the next question at hand. So where do you want to start with this, Josh? Because we got a lot to get into right now.
I guess let's just start. I guess we got to redo the top 3, and I think that'll answer a lot of the questions that we're going to have about the Celtics. We can talk about, I think the second pick is very much up in the air. And, we'll talk about I had Fox going number 2, but I've also saw a lot of things that apparently Magic Johnson is in love with Josh Jackson. But if that is, in fact, the guy that the Celtics want to go after, I don't think they would have made this move if they thought there was a chance Jackson wasn't going to get to 3. So this move could tell us a lot about the direction that the Lakers are going in, at least eliminating one of the potential prospects. So I guess let's redo the top 3, and then, we can work from there, get into some YouTube commenters, and then, we promised last time, we didn't get to it. We're going to get to it tonight. At least the top 10, 15 free agents, at least we can have a little bit of a discussion, because certainly this trade just changed the landscape a little bit with where guys are going to be next year. And obviously free agency is going to dictate a whole lot going forward.
So, all right. So I screen shared our mock draft from a few weeks ago. That was on May 22nd, almost a month to the day. We're about 4 days away. And so this is what we had about a month ago. And I guess, it's a good time to update it anyways. But so we had the Boston Celtics with the number 1 pick that is going to be changed to the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm just going to make sure I spell Philadelphia right. I do. And then the number 3 pick, the Boston Celtics. So now, I don't know. So we're obviously going to keep Markelle Fultz at number 1 because already said they're going to take him. Let's go to number 2, Los Angeles Lakers. With all that has happened about Lonzo Ball and whether or not he's going to stay, Josh Jackson might jump up to the number 2. What are you thinking here, Josh?
I'm going to stick to my guns here. I don't think it's going to be Josh Jackson because, again, I think that's the guy the Celtics really, really want. And Danny Ainge is too smart and he can read the landscape of the league too well. I don't think he would have made this move if he didn't think there was a chance the Lakers were going to pass on Jackson. And just from everything that's been coming out about, the Lakers have worked out Lonzo 3 times now. The first time they were not impressed. The second time they followed him around to see all his conditioning and everything, and they still weren't impressed. And they had him in again today, and they weren't wowed apparently. Magic, it sounds like he's in love with a lot of other players that aren't Lonzo Ball, and the Lakers aren't in a position where they have to be throwing up smoke screens because they essentially have the number 1 pick. Fultz, the entire time we assumed was the number 1 pick, or we knew basically he was the number 1 pick, whether it was Boston or now with Philadelphia, and we definitely know he's the number 1 pick. So the Lakers have had the number 1 pick the entire time. So they wouldn't have had to throw a smoke screen if they wanted to throw other teams off for Lonzo because they could have had him. I'm sticking with Fox. I think they're going to go point guard, and just everything that we're hearing, I don't think they're sold on Lonzo Ball. I really don't think they are. So
all right. So I'm going to honestly stick with Lonzo. And the reason I'm going to do that is because of the fact that while they have not fully been, fully convinced, I still think it's kind of a match made in heaven between Lonzo and the Lakers. I wouldn't be surprised if Jackson goes too. I wouldn't. But I still think Lonzo is a good fit for that team if you put Russell at the 2 and Lonzo at the 1. I know there's been a lot of conversation about whether or not they could do that or if that would hurt Russell. But I still think it's going to happen. My thoughts about that have not changed.
You know what I just realized, though?
What?
by redoing these top 3 picks, we're going to ruin the entire draft. Like, it's not going to work. I don't know if you – like, for example, if you look at the mock draft, someone is going to get knocked out, and then everything else is going to be wrong, I think. Yeah, okay, so unless I keep Lonzo going 3 and you keep Tatum going 4 or also going 3, we're going to have to do some switching.
I don't know. Do you want to just leave it?
Unless you think there's a crazy change that has to be made, I'm okay leaving it.
Leaving it, we will.
Because I'm also, I want to put this out there too, because I guess I would have Lonzo going to the Lakers right now. I mentioned this to you in the car, Mike. Also would not be surprised if this entire thing was a smokescreen and the Celtics wanted Lonzo the entire time. Especially now, because on the flip side, if they loved Jackson that much, they wouldn't have made this move if they didn't think the Lakers were going to pass on him. On the flip side, if they like Lonzo that much, they wouldn't have made this move unless they knew the Lakers were going to pass on him. Wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers grab Jackson at 2 and they take Lonzo at 3. But I'm okay leaving it because I think it's going to screw things up otherwise.
Yeah. That's fair. That's a fair thought. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they want him. I think. Also, my point. Lonzo and Josh Jackson have yet to even work out for the Celtics. I can't remember the last time a team has taken a player, a top 5 player, and not had them work out for them. I don't know. I haven't looked into it personally. I haven't really looked into it. But
I mean, we're still a week away. I know it came out that Lonzo was considering working out for other teams. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. It's weird. Yeah. It's a weird draft. There's a lot of moving parts. And honestly, the Celtics probably aren't done moving either. So, who knows?
Yeah, so let's get into that a little bit. So the Celtics get the number 3 pick. We'll see who they take. It's really going to be interesting. They could even trade that and go down more. I wouldn't be surprised if that.
I think there's a good chance they do.
Yeah, I agree. So you possibly move the 3rd pick. And then you also have the Sixers pick. No, sorry. The Lakers pick from next year. The 2018 Lakers pick for next year, protected between 1 and then 6 through the rest of the draft. So you can only have it in the 2 through 5 spots. So if that happens, then the Celtics could have 2 top 5 picks realistically if the Nets suck as bad as they did this year, and if the Lakers suck as bad as they did this year. You could have 2 top 5 picks, no matter even the top 2 picks. It's certainly a possibility if the Lakers have just as bad of a year, so did the Nets. Of course, the ping pong balls will say otherwise. But then you move into what happens if the 2 through 5 does not happen. Then you get a unprotected 2019 first-round pick from the Kings, which is probably going to be very high itself because they, of course, traded Boogie. They got nobody left. So now it turns into what's next? What are the Celtics going to do next? Are they going to keep the number 3 pick? Are they going to trade down and maybe take Lauri Markkanen? We've heard that name tossed around a lot. He worked out for the Celtics yesterday, Saturday. I know it's 12:08 in the morning, so
it counts.
And Dennis Smith Jr. as well. He could be even taken at the number 3 spot if they still want that guard. No matter if they take Jackson or if they take Dennis Smith Jr. or they trade down and take Markkanen. If they take either Jackson or Smith Jr., that is a logjam at whatever position is taken. So they have to make moves after it. And I've heard a lot of reports already saying, don't even worry about the protections. That it's not even going to be a Celtics pick in the next few weeks, which means they're probably going to flip it right away. And as you said, we'll gotta wait a week and see what happens. Draft is coming up on Thursday. It's officially this week on Thursday. So we will see what happens then. But certainly a lot is going to change in the next few weeks, in the next few months, in the next few years. And not to mention that 2018 draft. The 2018 draft is absolutely insane. Michael Porter Jr. You also have DeAndre Ayton. You also have who's the other one? Something like that.
Somebody.
Out of Kentucky.
Can't O'Neal's kid come out?
Yep, that's another one. Sharif O'Neal. There's a lot of people.
Manute Bol's son his name is Bol. He can come out as well. He's like 7'2". So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's Mohamed Bamba, who's also a huge prospect. He's going to Michigan. So there's a lot of things that could be moving in these next few weeks or months. And so
Miles Bridges will probably be a top 5 pick next year.
Another one out of Michigan State. You're right. So, Josh, what are you thinking right now? Are you thinking that the Celtics keep the number 3? Are they going to move that? What are they going to move? Because then it's also, you can go get Jimmy Butler. Paul George, probably not so much. You've heard a lot of reports that they're the favorites to sign Gordon Hayward. Blake Griffin is another option. If you're a Celtics fan, you should be excited right now. This is what I'm going to say. If you're a Celtics fan, be excited. It's not going to be a quick fix right away, and we've been aware of that. They're showing a lot of confidence in Isaiah Thomas for the future, but this should be exciting. You have pieces upon pieces upon pieces to move around and put in different directions, and the Boston Celtics should be very excited about this future that they are building. They already had the number 3 pick last year in Jaylen Brown. They have number 3 pick this year and possibly 2 top 5 picks next year. So be excited, Celtics fans. That's my spot. That's my ideas. Josh, you take the lead.
Well, I think they have to consolidate at some point.
Of course.
Way too many picks. You can't build a championship caliber team having just a revolving door of new players coming in and players leaving to make room. Again, would not be surprised if I would think Jimmy Butler. I don't think they would send a bunch of picks to Indiana for a 1-year rental. That, yes, would probably put them at least tie them with Cleveland, if not put them over the top a little bit, but certainly does not get them close to the Warriors. So you're not trading 3 first-round picks for a rental to lose the finals. It'll probably be Jimmy Butler. I wouldn't be surprised if they consolidate 2 or 3 picks, get Jimmy Butler. As for free agency, or I guess with that number 3 pick, it ties in. And this is why I really wish free agency was before the draft, because the Celtics have a big man problem. They have a rebounding problem. I think Blake Griffin should be their number 1 target. I understand Gordon Hayward's going to be. I think they have a snowball's chance in hell of landing him. I understand that he's another scorer. That would help them, and I understand that his college coach is a Celtics coach. I don't think he's going to leave a Utah team that right now I think has at least in terms of players on the roster, brighter future than the Celtics. Obviously, the Celtics have all the assets, but they still have to do something with them. Blake Griffin should be the number 1 target. If free agency was before the draft, they would know going into the draft if they had solved that issue, but they're not going to. So if I'm the Celtics, I'm trading back to number 9. I'm trading with the Mavericks. I'm getting a couple first-round picks in the future from them when they're going to probably be pretty bad rebuilding once Dirk Nowitzki is gone. I'm taking Lauri Markkanen. I'm giving myself some insurance at the big man position because worst-case scenario, Jay Crowder's your starting small forward next year, and he's a pretty damn good player, pretty good two-way player. You can live with him. You don't need Gordon Hayward. You need to address down low. And if Josh Jackson's your pick, then you really need to address down low because he's lining himself up to take Jay Crowder's spot. So if I'm the Celtics, I'm trading back, getting more assets that you can then use to move for Butler. I'm getting Jimmy Butler. I'm getting Blake Griffin as a free agent, and you're pretty set. And that's going to consolidate some of your assets. I mean, I think that's the way to go. I mean, that starting 5 that you could potentially put together will rival what Cleveland's got. Is it going to touch Golden State? No, but I don't know how to touch Golden State. I don't think there's a way to do it this offseason for anyone. So that is going to put the Celtics in a pretty good position, especially, and we can talk about this if we want, knowing that the era of Cleveland will be ending after next year because LeBron James will be bolting, in my opinion.
All right, so perfect segue into our free agency kind of preview. We'll get more into it after the draft, of course, to see adjusting what needs to be met for teams. But free agency preview, let's start with this year. The free agents right now. We'll get into the hypotheticals about LeBron James leaving, blah, 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 in a little bit. But let's go with the preview of the free agents right now. And I think some of the biggest names on the market right now, Blake Griffin has the option, Gordon Hayward, and there's a bunch of other people. Let's start out with Gordon Hayward because that's a lot of people's top player right now on their mind. What are you thinking, Josh, about Gordon Hayward? You started talking about it a little bit, but let's get more into that.
It looks like there's probably, I would say, 3 teams that realistically have a shot. Staying in Utah, going to Boston, going to Miami. I think Miami's going to be a pretty big player in free agency. Like I said before, I think Utah is really building something special out there, especially if they can retain George Hill, another guy I'm sure we'll talk about. Obviously, the Warriors are set up for the next couple of years, but I think it just is the next couple of years. I think, Jeff Van Gundy's claim they can go to 8 or 9 straight finals is ludicrous, to be honest. Utah's building something. I don't think Gordon's going to leave, and he's set up to make a lot of money. Certainly, Utah can offer him, I think, $50 million more than anyone else. I don't think money's going to be the final deciding factor, but I think Utah's set up better in the long run, and I don't see him leaving.
All right. Now moving on. Let's move to a lot of these guys are player options. Gordon Hayward's a player option. Technically, Steph Curry's an unrestricted free agent, but he's not going to leave.
And now there's Kevin Durant, so
Right. Kevin Durant has a player option, not going to leave. Blake Griffin, player option, might leave.
I think
you think what?
I think he's going to leave. I think he's another guy. There are 3 potential teams, either staying in LA, but I think he's going to wait. He's going to wait to see what Chris Paul does. If Chris Paul leaves, there's no way in hell he's going back. And the Clippers shouldn't want him back at that point because they should blow it up because clearly it's over without CP3. So it's LA, depending on what Paul does. Boston, which I think would be maybe not the best fit, but I think would put him in the best position. And then Oklahoma City, going home. He's from Oklahoma, went to college there, teaming up with Russ Westbrook. I think it's those 3 teams. I can't count the Clippers out because I don't know what Chris Paul is going to do. I think Boston would be the best chance for him to have some playoff success. He's going to have to leave some money on the table, but he's going to fill a big need, and I think the Celtics are going to go after him. And, hey, they almost lured Durant, so they clearly know how to make recruiting pitches.
Next, Kyle Lowry's unrestricted, but he's probably going to resign is my guess, right?
I was waffling on it. I wasn't sure. I know Philadelphia was a big player. That's obviously off the table now. The Lakers were a player, but now that we're hearing all these things, Paul George is almost for sure. Now maybe LeBron or CP3 might look there towards the future. I think they're going to try and save money. So I don't think that's an option. So he's probably going back up there. I think it's a bad move. I think the Raptors need to blow it up and completely rebuild because they're not ready. They're not close, but I don't think Masai Ujiri knows how to do that. So I don't think Lowry's going anywhere. He's going to cash in. He's going to get $200 million.
A player who had a player option and already said, no, thank you, I'm out, but possibly could resign. So it's like, no, thank you, I'm probably going to go, but I'm going to keep you on the back burner. Paul Millsap, out of Atlanta, 32 years old, averaged 18, 7, and 4 last year for Atlanta. And we've seen this before, around 30-year-old player option from Atlanta, Al Horford, just left, got big money. What are you thinking about Paul Millsap?
I can't see him leaving. I know he loves it there. They love him. And Al Horford got big money, but Al Horford's kind of universally, he was always universally kind of loved around the league. General managers thought highly of him. I just don't think other people appreciate Paul Millsap as much as the Hawks do. And clearly he's been a different player in that system. He loves being with Coach Budenholzer. We saw what he's done from his Utah days to now. I don't see him going anywhere. They can offer him more money, and he's the face of the franchise. I don't see him moving. I know this is the second time that we've said this since he's hit free agency. Oh, he's gone, and he's stayed. I don't expect it to be. I think he's going to re-sign quickly with Atlanta for, if not the max, pretty damn close to the max. And he's worth every penny for him. He's the face of the franchise.
All right, another veteran point guard on the market, Drew Holiday.
Again, depends on what happens in the draft. If Dallas snags a point guard, they might not go this direction. But from the things that are being reported, the Mavericks are very much in play to sign both Holiday brothers, Drew and Justin. If not that, New Orleans is going to need shooters. If they want to invest all their money in one, maybe they bring Holiday back. I think they'd be smart to spread the wealth, bring in a couple maybe second-tier players, either Dallas, who's another team that needs a point guard, Minnesota, pending what happens with Ricky Rubio, if they can find some money. New York, I heard, but I don't think anyone wants to sign with the Knicks, so I don't think that's really an option. I think Dallas would probably be where he ends up, because even if they grab a young point guard, they might want to let the guy sit. And I think Mark Cuban's kind of tired of not getting big-time free agents, so I'm sure he's going to pull out all the stops.
All right, another player who could have a big season left in him. I haven't heard much of him from recently about his updates on where he might be going or if he's staying. But Danilo Gallinari, big guy with incredible range.
Oh, yeah. Everything that I've seen and heard being reported is that he's opting out with the intention of re-signing with Denver, which I think is a good move. I think that's a team on the rise. But he's going to have a laundry list of suitors. I think Miami is in play. Any team that tries to get a meeting with Gordon Hayward who can't get a meeting, I think, would be in on Gallo. I think he'd be a great fit on the Celtics, but I don't think they're going to look in that direction. Ultimately, I'm fairly confident he's going to opt out and re-sign with Denver.
Serge Ibaka.
I don't think Toronto would have given up that many assets to not bring him back. I think they have to bring him back if they think they're still contenders, so he's probably not going anywhere.
Another guy with a player option, Pau Gasol.
Well, I think Pau would be nuts to opt out. He's going to get paid $16 million coming off of one of the worst years of his career. He's in a place that fits him so well. He's getting older. Pop very much values veteran players more so than I think a lot of coaches in the league, and he's not nearly going to get that kind of money anywhere. I think the only way that he is out of San Antonio is if they're in on Chris Paul and they have to move some salary. He would probably be the first guy to go, but I think he'd be nuts to opt out. I think he's insane, so I don't even think he opts out.
This is a player that is an incredible veteran, long-time player. He pretty much has his pick of wherever he wants to go this summer. The player option for Dwayne Wade.
Man, I don't know. Part of me wants to say he's going to leave Chicago because it clearly did not work. But part of me also realizes he's not going to get that amount of money anywhere else. I think he's getting $20 million this year. I don't think the opportunity exists to go back to Miami. I think Pat Riley's pretty pissed at him, and I think he's pretty pissed at Pat Riley. I could see him finagling a way to end up in Cleveland. I don't know if he's willing to take the cut it's going to take to get there. I mean, we're talking the mid-level exception, which is just under $6 million. Is Wade willing to take that cut for a chance to go play with his best friend again and pretty much a guaranteed trip to the finals? Maybe. If not, he'll probably stay in Chicago. Although I know that Milwaukee last offseason made a real run at him. Went to college in Wisconsin.
Yes.
There's a chance. Depending on what Greg Monroe does. If Greg Monroe opts out and they have cap space to play with, they're a player. If he doesn't, which I don't think he will, then no. So I think he's either staying in Chicago or he finagles away to Cleveland.
By the way, did you click on my face on your feed?
I did not.
Because I keep looking back at the YouTube live thing, and it's only my face. It's not showing yours at all.
Huh. Well, is it showing my face now?
I don't know. It's a little bit behind.
Oh, well.
Well, as long as
He's gone. He left. He left. All right. While we're figuring out where Mike went, to the YouTube commenters, I want to clear a couple things up because clearly you guys don't listen. So now listen to me. I said Lonzo Ball is going to essentially put up what Ricky Rubio does. I am not saying that Lonzo Ball is going to be Ricky Rubio. That's stupid. In terms of numbers, Lonzo's going to put up 12 points, 8 assists, a couple steals per game, and play good defense. No, he's not going to be Ricky Rubio. That's asinine. But he's going to put up similar numbers. It's a similar numbers comparison. That's it. And to all you idiots who are like, Lonzo's jump shot's not broken. It's not broken in terms of there's no hitch in it. However, it's a very low release point, which you can get away with. Kevin Martin proved you can get away with it. But Kevin Martin had an incredibly quick trigger finger that allowed him to get away with that. Lonzo's shot comes in low and is slow. It's a slow release, and you can get away with that in college where players are slower to close out. But in the NBA, I don't think it's going to fly. That's why his jump shot's broken. His release is too low, and he doesn't get it off quick enough to make up for it. Kevin Martin had a low release, got rid of it very quick, and that's why he was able to exist in the NBA. That was my rant to the YouTube commenters. Mike's back.
Yeah, sorry about that. I accidentally X'd out, and I really didn't mean to. Wait, what was how many people commented, and what were they commenting?
It was like 5 people.
Do we know any of them?
We do not. Which, hey, people we don't know are watching. That's good.
Keep tuning in. So, was it only about the Lonzo broken shot?
Yeah, that was it.
All right. Then I don't need to hear it because, I already have heard it a billion times. Where were we? Yeah, I accidentally X'd out. I was trying to go back to my
wait, I think.
All right. How much trying to think of the best way to do this. There's so many names that are restricted and probably won't leave, blah blah blah. We've gone through the big names that'll probably leave. Do you have any names in the back of your mind that veterans moving, veterans returning that'll play a big role? Young up and coming players that are going to break out. Any ideas on that?
I think Chris Paul might leave. Obviously, to go to San Antonio, they're going to have to dump a lot. Pau Gasol would have to go. Tony Parker would have to go. And Patty Mills would have to go. I don't think they're going to keep Patty Mills anyway. I think he's going to be too expensive for him. The only piece there that gives me hesitation is Tony Parker because he's been there for so long and he's gonna go to the Hall of Fame. He's probably the best European guard to come stateside. He's gonna have his number retired in San Antonio. I don't know if they're ready to move on from him. If they are, I think Chris Paul will go there. If not, he's probably going back to LA. But I would not be surprised if Chris Paul left. I think he's given LA everything he could have given them and more, and it's not working. It's just not working, and I don't think that team is remotely close to competing with the Warriors. San Antonio, I mean, we'll never know what would have happened if Kawhi didn't get hurt in the Western Conference Finals. They're at least close. I think they're probably closer to Cleveland in terms of beating the Warriors. Yeah, I mean, they're probably the closest team to being able to beat Golden State in the NBA. Adding CP3 might get them there. I'm not entirely sure. It might get them there, depending on who's left. That's the only place I could see him going.
I mean, I think that's certainly a fair place. I don't see him leaving LA if it's other than that. One player I could see becoming a veteran presence on another team. He is an unrestricted free agent, been in the league for over 10 years now. He can still put out a lot of points, but it's just a matter of if the team wants to shell up for him. Is Rudy Gay. He's been a player throughout his career that, he's been the consistent 13, 7, and 5 player, but he can play a huge role on one of these quote-unquote super teams if he is willing to accept the role. He's a great player already as it is, but if he's ready to accept the role, he could become a NBA champion by this.
Yeah, the one thing that scares me is obviously he's coming off the ruptured Achilles tendon. I think he's going to have to take a 1 year, like what Rondo did with the Kings. I think he's going to take a 1 year prove me contract. And that could very well be with one of these contenders. The thing that I'm looking forward to seeing is what's Kevin Durant going to do? Not in terms of is he leaving or not, because he's not. He's not going anywhere. But does he take the full max, which he's certainly entitled to, or does he take less? If he takes the full max, or I think anything like the $2 million under that, then the Warriors are going to have to pick between Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala. If he takes lower than that, they can keep them both. So if he takes that full max and Iguodala's got to go because Iguodala wants $11-12 million a year, Rudy Gay on a 1 year prove me contract could step into that role. $6 or $7 million coming off the bench, reestablish his role, probably win a championship. So it really all depends if that opportunity opens up for him. I think he's going to get a chance. It's just for how much money, for how long of a contract.
Right. Another name. Let's see. This is a guy who two people from you already talked about them, the Warriors, that have played huge roles with the Warriors, especially at random points in the playoffs, for God's sakes. But David West and Zaza Pachulia, both of them unrestricted free agents, very well could just go back to the Warriors and play there 5 minutes a night and go home. But they could also go to another team and just compete against those Warriors. Not expensive contracts whatsoever. Warriors don't have bird rights for them because they were both on 1 year deals. Those are those veteran presences that teams want. And especially with David West, I think is one of the top. I prefer David West over Zaza Pachulia, but those are two names that really could be moving and be that veteran presence, say for a team like Boston even, or a contending young team.
Yeah, I think both guys played well enough that they probably earned themselves $5 million a year from some team. It's not going to be Golden State. Another guy in that category, and it's really surprising to say this, but he's earned himself more money and probably a bigger role somewhere else, is JaVale McGee.
JaVale McGee.
He didn't play terribly in Golden State when he played.
The NBA Finals MVP.
Huh?
The NBA Finals MVP, JaVale McGee.
Absolutely. And, obviously he's not going to get a lot of money, but he's earned himself probably I would say a 3 year, $15 to $20 million contract with some other team. Whether if Milwaukee does lose Greg Monroe, take a flyer on him. He's still a defensive presence. Obviously, offensively, he's not going to give you much more than dunks. So I think all three of those guys, the only one I don't know about is David West because he took the veteran minimum to chase championships. He's kind of in the stage of his career where he's made all his big money, and certainly he's made his money. He's gotten the all-star appearances, all those accolades. He might just be in it to continue chasing rings, so he might come back another veteran's minimum contract. But Pachulia, a guy who's bounced around a lot, McGee, a guy who's bounced around a lot, have certainly built values for themselves, and they're probably gone. Again, like $5 to $6 million, maybe even $7, depending on the team, how desperate they are for those guys, probably on 2 to 3 year contracts. So they've probably priced themselves out of Golden State.
Moving on. I mean, Andre Iguodala. We're sticking with the Golden State syndrome because this is what happens when you build these super teams. Is you have a lot of players on 1 year veteran minimums, not even veteran minimums. Iguodala was on the 12. He had $12 million a year, but he could be on a veteran minimum if he goes to a super team like Golden State because they don't have any other money, especially if you have to extend Steph Curry. What the hell are they going to do with Andre Iguodala? You would think they want him back. He plays incredible minutes, especially in the playoffs.
You would think they want him back. They probably do want him back. I don't know if they're going to be able to afford him. I really don't. It depends on what Durant does. And if they have to choose between Iguodala and Sean Livingston, oh man, that's a tough choice. That is a really, I don't know the right answer. I really don't. Well, the thing is, Sean Livingston makes about half of what Iguodala did this year. Right, but they're both so valuable to the team.
Right. That's why I think Livingston would be hard to choose. That's why Iguodala would be harder to choose over Livingston, because Iguodala is going to cost probably more than Livingston will.
Yeah, and reports are Iguodala still wants that $10 to $12 million a year. I don't think the Warriors can give him. He's going to pretty much be able to pick where he wants to go. It would be so ironic. There's no way to make it work with the money if Cleveland signed him to do to LeBron what to do to Durant what he did to LeBron this year. No way to make the money work. There's just not. A young up-and-coming team like Milwaukee or Minnesota that has cap space to burn, he'd be an incredible veteran presence for those teams, especially for Minnesota while, Levine comes back from the ACL injury. If they want to move Wiggins to the 2 or play Iguodala to 2 for part of the season, that would be a great fit. I have a feeling Durant is not going to take the full max, and they'll find a way to bring these two guys back. So I don't think this is a bridge we have to cross, but if we do have to cross it, I think it's going to be one of these young up-and-coming teams that has a chance to make some noise in the playoffs that Iguodala could go to.
I just want to say yo-yo right back to Card Nerd Huss or Hoax or whatever it is, because on the live chat he said yo-yo, so I'm responding yo-yo.
Yo-yo. Oh, did someone comment already?
On the live chat, yeah, he said yo-yo.
On this one, wow, look at that.
Big time. Talk about big time. He was a big-time college player, and he's made it in the NBA purely because he's a drop-dead shooter. J.J. Redick. Now, we've already talked about Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, and what are the Clippers going to do if they can't re-sign one of them or both of them? But J.J. Redick wants $20 million a year.
Yeah, he's not going to get it in L.A.
That is certainly for sure. But, I mean, there's a lot of teams, that really want a shooter, and especially a good veteran shooter like J.J. Redick is. He could be a pivotal player for a lot of wants the $20 million, but he's probably not going to get it. So the real question becomes, where does he go? Does he go maybe to like a young team that really can afford it and would love his veteran leadership? I think that would be another option for him as well.
Yeah, teams like Milwaukee, Detroit. Well, depending on what they do with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, if they match any offer for him, there's no chance with the cap. If they don't, JJ would fill a nice need for him, needing some three-point shooting. If he wants to go back to Orlando, they're not very close back to the playoffs, but if money talks over contention, Orlando was dead. I think they were dead last in three-point shooting last year. Certainly a guy who can help. The problem is a lot of teams that need three-point help or, want more three-point shooters are pretty capped out. Like I'm sure Houston would love to add JJ to what they do, and that would be something to watch. But, there's no way to make it work with the cap. A team like Oklahoma City, that's a playoff contender, and, we'll see what they can do if they get Russ some help. He would be a great guy to just patrol the perimeter while Russ drives and kick it back out. He could basically do what Dougie McBuckets was unable to do because Dougie McBuckets has been a huge disappointment in the NBA. So it's teams like that. I don't think there's no chance he stays with the Clippers. He's asking for way too much money, and all the problems that they have bringing back the guys that they want to bring back in Paul and Griffin. There's no room for JJ Redick. By the way, whoever gave us a thumbs down on the live stream,
I just saw that.
Why? Comment and tell us why. Card Nerd Haas, if that's you, tell us why. We just want to know. Anyway.
I agree. So pretty much that wraps up the names that really needed to be talked about. I can't really think of any other names that are on there that really need to be. Now, I want to personally give a lot of credit to not only Sam Hinkie, but also Colangelo and that entire 76er staff They have been the dumpster of the NBA for years and years and years. But trusting the process has gotten them a lot of good players in a short amount of time. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Dario Saric, Rob Covington, Markelle Fultz. You think of that starting five, you add some bench and a good coach, that's scary. There could be a rivalry brewing between the 76ers and the Celtics, both two young teams. I'm speaking hypotheticals here because, both teams are a ways away. Hi, dog. But I honestly have to give a lot of credit to Colangelo, to Hinkie, who really started this, and that entire 76ers organization for, having the cojones to take this trade, to give up the future picks that you have, and really only have second-round picks left, but you can deal with that because you can get first-round picks pretty easily if you just trade somebody. But my goodness, have they done a fantastic job at that organization in what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for them is health. We haven't seen Simmons yet. And B, we've seen 36 games worth, and 36 games have been very impressive, but obviously there's 82 games. You like to see that put together. Sarge looks great. I'm a big fan of Covington. We'll see what happens. If they can stay healthy, that's an impressive young foundation. Certainly. It's going to be about health. It's going to, are we going to get to see all of them on the court at the same time? And what are they going to do? But definitely, the process, I think, is finally working. And I'm kind of sad that Sam Hinkie's not there to see it through. I thought he was prematurely fired. It wasn't his fault that the guys weren't staying healthy. They were freak injuries, 2 broken feet. You can't really predict those kind of things. It's not like they were chronic injuries. Now, Embiid's become a chronic injury, but certainly coming out of college, that wasn't a huge concern. So I'm kind of sad Hinkie's not there to see it through, but the process is working. I trust the process, and I'm hoping Phil has some sort of process. He doesn't, but oh well.
I certainly think it's been impressive.
Oh! Speaking of Phil, Derrick Rose. We forgot a name.
Well, let me just say this.
Technically, he counts as a big name.
Let me just say this. New York Knicks are a dumpster fire.
You don't have to tell him. You're preaching to the choir here.
Carmelo Anthony is going to be traded. We don't know where yet. That also is going to be a huge deal in the next week or so because he might get traded on draft night, maybe to the Clippers if they think they're going to be able to pick back up the options of, who was it, Blake and Chris. Or
there are only 2 things I see happening. It's either a sign and trade for Blake Griffin, sending Melo to LA,
yep,
or it's a Kevin Love swap. I can't see anything else. I don't think he would approve a deal anywhere else.
Yeah, well, we would certainly see that. But we could do a whole podcast on the New York Knicks in the
I don't want to. Let's not.
In the dumpster fire that they are. But Derrick Rose, he's an interesting name.
Someone liked it. Thank you, whoever gave us the thumbs up. We appreciate it.
Who do we have now?
No one has said anything, but someone gave us a thumbs up. There's one person watching. I don't know who it is, but they gave us a thumbs up.
Probably me, because we currently watch.
I don't know. We appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, or girls or anybody.
Anyone.
We do appreciate. But I think, I don't know about you. All right, let me have you start that off because you are the residential Knicks fan. You know the terrible situation that they are in. You also know the best chances of Derrick Rose possibly going back to the Knicks.
Well, I'm hoping those chances are a big old 0. Knowing Phil, I can't wait for him to sign a max contract. I see if San Antonio does not get Chris Paul and Rose is willing to take less than what he just made, I could see him being an option there. Milwaukee, I could see him being an option there. Team that really intrigues me, a team that almost traded for him at the deadline, Minnesota, also wants to unload Ricky Rubio, and the Knicks are interested. Maybe maybe not a transaction that includes both of them, but essentially would be a Rubio for Rose swap if the Knicks send whatever, a second round pick and maybe a player to Minnesota for Rubio, and then Rose were to sign with Minnesota. It's essentially a trade for each other. That I think is probably the most likely. I can see the San Antonio thing happening, and if Jason Kidd thinks he can fix Derek, then that's an opportunity. The problem with Derrick Rose is if you've got a lot of guys who catch and shoot, Derrick Rose is not your point guard because he just does not pass. He averaged 4 assists per game last year in 34 minutes, which is disgusting. So I don't even know if he'd fit in San Antonio, but there's rumors that Popovich wants to bring him in. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully he's not back with the Knicks. They need to blow it up. I want everything gone. I want it to be Porzingis and Hernan Gomez and just build around them. I want the number 1 pick next year. We'll see what happens.
You're gonna have to get through us first. the possible number 1 pick and the possible 2 through 5, which we're pretty sure it's the 2 through 5. Woj just reported, wrote his article, his news story about this trade, and he said it's protected 2 through 5. So now I'm really confused. But from what we saw, you and I both saw, it said it's going to be either 2 through 5 or nothing. So we're going to stick with that for now. And if it be changed, we will send out a tweet about it or a Facebook post about it, because this will be on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah. I would be very surprised if the Lakers pick ended up 2 through 5, because I think the Lakers know they have to be at least a little competitive this year if they want to be the big free agent destination in 2018. Paul George is not a guarantee to go there. LeBron, who knows? We'll see what happens.
Right.
One trade I did see, and the money works out and everything, is Paul George to Cleveland. I don't think it's going to happen. It would have to be Kevin Love and 9 first-round picks. I don't think it's going to happen.
Just
who knows?
Throwing.
I'm just throwing
crap to the fan and seeing what sticks.
Pretty much.
So that about wraps it up. I think we kind of reached our point about whatever we can talk about. So to sum up, Celtics trade the number 1 pick to the 76ers for the number 3, a lottery pick next year, protected 2 through 5, whatever that means. We're thinking it means they either get 2 through 5 or nothing. And if they, that would be the Lakers pick from next season, the 2018 draft and the 2019 draft. If that 2018 pick does not happen, they get the Kings pick for the 2019 draft. So the Celtics have 8 first-round picks in the next 2 years, which is bananas.
That's crazy.
They also have the number 3 pick this year, a stockpile of guards, a stockpile of forwards. There's going to be more movement by the end of this week, and we will report on that as it happens. I think Josh and I are probably going to start doing a weekly thing because things are happening so quickly. But I think that'll be a good idea. Josh, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm in.
All right. The weekly Josh and Mike podcast. So that is one thing. The NBA draft is Thursday. A lot of credit to Danny Ainge for making this trade. A lot of credit to Colangelo and Inky and the 76ers for making this trade. What else? Free agency is starting up on July 1st. That's when the legal tampering with unrestricted free agents can happen. Right after the draft is when the restricted free agent tampering can happen with teams and their own players. Am I missing anything else? Josh Jackson and Alonzo Ball both have not worked out for the Celtics yet. Still got 4 days to do it. We'll see what happens. Josh Jackson right now the favorite to pick by the Celtics, but we will see what happens. Dennis Smith Jr. just worked out for the Celtics on Saturday, so did Lauri Markkanen. And we both think this will be honestly a defining trade in the history of not only the Boston Celtics, but Danny Ainge's career. He's made great trades before, but this is bold, man. This is really bold.
Look, if this doesn't work, it's grounds to remove Danny Ainge.
Yes, I agree.
We'll see.
but we will certainly have to see as we move forward. So that pretty much just wraps it up for us. We're about 55 minutes in. We'll talk to you after the draft. Draft is Thursday, Sunday, Monday. I don't know, but whenever we're both free, we'll certainly have a nice long chat about updates, about surprises, about disappointments, things like that, because things aren't done. The reason that this trade is being made on Monday is because there's still going to be more moving parts before the draft. And we'll have to figure it out as we move forward. So, any last words, Josh?
It's going to be a lot of fun. This is not the free agency that's going to figure out the fate of the NBA. Next year is, and whether or not anyone can catch Golden State. But this is certainly a big building block. It's going to be a lot of fun. Draft, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to see a lot of trades during the draft. So I'm looking forward to it.
I do agree that it's certainly going to be very, very fun. And that about wraps it up for us. And we will talk to you guys all after the draft. For Josh, I'm Mike. So long.